Some men become legends by accident. Others are forged in fire, shaped by struggle and defined by resilience. This is the story of a boy who stuttered so badly he could barely speak, who became one of the most iconic voices in Hollywood. A man who redefined what it means to be an action hero, a father, a husband, a fighter. This is the story of Bruce Willis and why, despite everything life has thrown at him, he remains unbreakable. March 19th, 1955, Idar Oberstein, West Germany. In a small military hospital, Marlene and David Willis welcomed their first son into the world. Walter Bruce Willis. Born to an American soldier and a German mother, Bruce entered a world still recovering from the scars of war. But Germany wouldn't be home for long. When Bruce was just 2 years old, his father's military service ended, and the Willis family moved to Carneys Point, New Jersey, a blue-collar town where the American dream felt more like a distant mirage than a promise. David Willis worked at the DuPont factory. Marlene took whatever job she could find. They weren't living. They were surviving. And young Bruce? He was watching, learning, understanding that nothing in this life comes easy. But it wasn't just poverty that Bruce had to fight. There was something else. Something that would shape his entire childhood and, ironically, his future career. Imagine being a kid with a million things to say and not being able to say any of them. That was Bruce Willis. He had a severe stutter, so bad that simple conversations became nightmares. Ordering food, answering questions in class, introducing himself. Other kids noticed, and kids can be cruel. The teasing was relentless. The isolation was real. Bruce learned to stay quiet, to keep his thoughts locked inside, to become invisible. For a young boy trying to find his place in the world, it was torture. But then, something remarkable happened. Something that would change everything. His mother noticed that when Bruce performed, when he acted, when he pretended to be someone else, the stutter disappeared. Gone. Like magic. On stage, Bruce Willis didn't stutter. On stage, he was free. This wasn't just a coping mechanism. This was liberation. The boy who couldn't speak found his voice by becoming other people. And that's when Bruce Willis discovered his superpower. Acting didn't just help him communicate, it saved him. After high school, Bruce knew what he had to do. While other kids were heading to college or taking factory jobs like their fathers, Bruce Willis was heading to the bright lights and big dreams of New York City. He was going to be an actor. His family thought he was crazy. New York, in the 1,970 seconds, didn't care about your dreams. It chewed people up and spit them out. Bruce worked as a bartender, a security guard, whatever paid the rent. He auditioned for everything, commercial, theater, anything, and he got rejected again and again and again. But here's what separated Bruce Willis from the thousands of other struggling actors in New York. He refused to quit. Every rejection made him hungrier. Every closed door made him knock louder. He started getting small roles in off-Broadway productions. Nothing glamorous, nothing that paid well. But Bruce was learning his craft, studying, growing, building the foundation of what would become one of the most successful careers in Hollywood history. And then, after years of grinding, after years of believing when nobody else did, the phone rang. 1985. Bruce Willis auditioned for a new TV show called Moonlighting. It was a detective comedy drama, and they were looking for someone to play David Addison, a wisecracking, charming private investigator, opposite Sybil Shepherd. Bruce walked into that audition room with nothing to lose. He was 30 years old, still broke, still unknown, This was his shot. He got the part. Moonlighting became a phenomenon. Bruce's chemistry with Sybil. Shepard was electric. His comedic timing was perfect. That smirk, that attitude, that confidence. America fell in love with David Addison, and by extension, with Bruce Willis. Suddenly, the stuttering kid from New Jersey, the struggling actor who bartended to survive, was a television star. He won an Emmy. He won a Golden Globe. He was making real money for the first time in his life. But Bruce Willis wasn't satisfied with television stardom. He wanted more. He wanted to be a movie star. And in 1988, he got his chance to prove he could carry a film. Nobody knew it at the time, but Bruce Willis was about to change action movies forever. Die Hard. A Christmas action movie about a New York cop trapped in a Los Angeles skyscraper during a terrorist takeover. The role? John McClane. A regular guy. No superpowers. No special training. Just a cop trying to save his wife. But here's the thing. Nobody wanted Bruce Willis for this role. The studio was skeptical. He was a TV comedy actor. Could he really carry an action film? Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, those were action stars. Not the funny guy from Moonlighting. But director John McTiernan saw something different in Bruce. He saw authenticity. He saw vulnerability. He saw a guy who could make you laugh and then make you believe he could actually die. July 15th, 1988. Die Hard hit theaters. And everything changed. John McClane wasn't Superman. He got hurt. He bled. He was scared. He made jokes to cope with the terror. He was human. And that's exactly why audiences connected with him. Bruce Willis had created a new kind of action hero. The everyman hero. The reluctant hero. The hero who looked like he could be your neighbor. Die Hard made $140 million worldwide. It became a cultural phenomenon. And Bruce Willis? He became a legitimate movie star. Not just any movie star, an action icon. The barefoot cop with the machine gun became one of the most recognizable images in cinema history. The 1,990 seconds and early 2000s belonged to Bruce Willis. He wasn't just an action star anymore. He was proving his range, his versatility, his depth. In 1994, Quentin Tarantino cast him in Pulp Fiction as Butch Coolidge, a washed-up boxer. The film won the Palme d'Or at Cannes and revitalized John Travolta's career. But it also showed Hollywood that Bruce Willis could act. Really act. The Fifth Element showed his comedic side. 12 Monkeys earned him critical acclaim. Armageddon made him a hero who saved the entire planet. He worked with Michael Bay, M. Night Shyamalan, Wes Anderson, and Robert Rodriguez. And then came The Sixth Sense in 1999. As child psychologist Malcolm Crowe, Bruce delivered one of his most nuanced, restrained performances. The film made $672 million and became one of the most successful films of all time. Bruce Willis was everywhere. He was one of the highest paid actors in the world. He had fame, fortune, respect. From the outside, it looked like the perfect life. But behind the smiles, behind the success, Bruce's personal life was falling apart. In 1987, at a movie premiere, Bruce Willis met Demi Moore. She was young, beautiful, and ambitious. He was still the TV star trying to break into movies. They married just 4 months later. For a while, they were Hollywood's golden couple, Bruce and Demi. They had 3 daughters, Rumor, Scout, and Tallulah. On the surface, they had everything. The house, the career, the family. The American dream finally realized. But the pressure of 2 massive careers, constant media scrutiny, and the demands of Hollywood began to crack the foundation. In 1998, after 11 years of marriage, Bruce and Demi separated. By 2000, they were divorced. Bruce was heartbroken. Divorced, separated from his daughters for stretches of time due to custody arrangements. The man who played indestructible heroes on screen was breaking down in real life. He threw himself into work. More movies, more sequels, more projects, anything to fill the void. But something had shifted. The joy seemed dimmed. The spark seemed faded. Then, in 2009, Bruce found love again. Emma Hemming, a model and actress, became his second wife. They had 2 more daughters, Mabel and Evelyn. Bruce had a second chance at family, a second chance at happiness. And for a while, life was good again. He balanced his career with fatherhood. He stayed close with Demi Moore. They remained friends, co-parents, and mutual supporters. He had built a blended family that actually worked. Bruce Willis, the fighter, had fought for his happiness, and he had won. But life had one more fight left for him, the hardest fight of all. For years, people who worked with Bruce Willis started noticing things. He seemed confused on set. He struggled to remember lines. His coordination was off. At first, people assumed it was just aging. He was in his 60s after all. Maybe he was just tired. But it was more than that. Much more. In March 2022, Bruce's family released a statement that shook Hollywood and broke hearts around the world. Bruce Willis was stepping away from acting. The reason? Aphasia. A condition that affects the ability to communicate, to speak, to understand language. The man who overcame a childhood stutter to become one of the most iconic voices in cinema was losing his ability to speak. But the news got worse. In February 2023, his family provided an update. The diagnosis had been refined. Bruce Willis was suffering from frontotemporal dementia, FTD, a progressive disease that affects the frontal and temporal lobes of the brain. There is no cure. There is no treatment. There is only decline. Frontotemporal dementia doesn't just take memory. It takes personality. It takes the ability to communicate, to recognize loved ones, to be yourself. For Bruce Willis, the wisecracking hero, the confident actor, the devoted father, this disease was the cruelest possible fate. But here's what you need to understand about Bruce Willis and his family. They didn't hide. They didn't run from the diagnosis. They faced it. Together. Today, Bruce Willis is no longer making movies. He's no longer on red carpets. He's no longer the action hero we grew up watching. But he's still fighting. Every single day. His wife Emma shares updates showing Bruce surrounded by family. Demi Moore visits regularly, supporting not just Bruce, but Emma and all the children. Rumor, Scout, Tallulah, Mabel, and Evelyn. All of them have rallied around their father. This is where the real story of Bruce Willis reveals itself. Not in the blockbusters. Not in the awards. Not in the wealth or fame. But in this moment. In this struggle. In this fight that has no Hollywood ending. His daughters post tributes. They share memories. They celebrate who he was and who he still is. Emma advocates for dementia awareness. Demi Moore speaks about the importance of family. In the year 2000, Bruce Willis starred in a movie called Unbreakable, playing a man who discovers he has extraordinary abilities, that he cannot be broken. It was fiction, a comic book story. But the truth? Bruce Willis has always been unbreakable. Not because he couldn't be hurt, but because when life broke him down, the poverty, the stutter, the rejection, the divorce, the disease, he got back up. Or his family got him back up. Bruce Willis gave us John McClane. He gave us Malcolm Crowe. He gave us Butch Coolidge and Corbin Dallas and dozens of other unforgettable characters. He made us laugh. He made us cheer. He made us believe that regular people could be heroes. But the real Bruce Willis story isn't about the movies. It's about the boy who couldn't speak, who learned to use his voice. It's about the struggling actor who never gave up. It's about the father who loves his children. It's about the man facing the unthinkable with dignity and grace, surrounded by people who love him unconditionally. We watch movies to escape, to see heroes who can't be defeated, to believe that good always triumphs. But real life isn't a movie. Real life is harder, messier, more painful. And yet, real life also shows us what true heroism really looks like. It's not about fighting terrorists in a building. It's about fighting for every moment with your family. It's about love that doesn't quit when things get hard. It's about facing the end with courage, surrounded by the people who matter most. Bruce Willis may not remember all his movies. He may not remember all his lines. But his legacy isn't in film reels or box office numbers. It's in the lives he touched, the family he built, the love he gave and continues to receive. That's not just a legacy, that's immortality. Bruce Willis, the boy who stuttered, the bartender who dreamed, the actor who conquered Hollywood, the father who loves, the man who, despite everything, remains unbreakable.